Hi everyone, welcome to day 3 of Royal Ascot. It's the Time, Form and Spot in Life preview of Gold Cup Day, a fine day in the racing calendar. I'm Ben Linfoot, joined by Matt Brocklebank for a quick chat over the Gold Cup. And Matt, it's a race that's synonymous with horses who dominate the race like Yates and Stradivarius, but we haven't got that this year. We've got a much more wide open renewal.
We do, yeah. We've got a biggish field, haven't we, as well? 14 runners, very tight, fairly tight in the betting as well. Plenty of horses with questions to answer. And as you can see, only the £6 between the top 10 on the time form figures as well. So, as I say, really, really tight. You've got some experienced sort of older stayers in there, classy horses stepping up in distance. An O'Brien trained filly, we've not seen that before in the race. Throw in a French runner as well, and obviously the potential fly in the ointment being Frankie Dettori's mount, Courage Mon Ami, who's only had the 3 runs in his life. So, yeah, a fascinating race.
Courage, my friend, I think that translates as.
Well, I'm all for it.
We're going to start with Elder Elderoff because he ran a good prep race, I think, at York in the Yorkshire Cup last time. You can spot him here in the yellow and black stripes. What did you make of this run?
Yeah, this was a really good run, wasn't it? He's won the Chester Vase last year over 1 mile and 6. The trip to France backfired, didn't it, last year? But he came back and won the St Leger. At the time, it didn't look like a brilliant St Leger, but the race actually threw up 5 individual winners who won 6 races between them. So obviously substance towards that form, and then he signed off last year with a low-key run, so it was really encouraging to see him here in the Yorkshire Cup, finishing with a flourish, finishing second there behind Giavoletto, who had finished behind him in the Leger itself. So that looks to have teed him up nicely. He's very much earned a shot at the Gold Cup, hasn't he? But suddenly you're looking at a horse that's fairly short in the vein.
My question is, do you think he's a 2.5 mile horse? I'm not sure. I mean, he's obviously won a Leger, I think over 1 mile and 6, maybe 2 miles even. He can be a real force in this division, but 2.5, it's just an extra question, isn't it?
It is, and it is in relation to the main market rival, I'm sure we're going to get onto as well, in Coltrane, who's already proven fully over the distance. So, yeah, he's got a touch of class, hasn't he? But, it's a big question mark over a lot of them going into that extended distance. On
that York clip, we saw Broome finish 3rd, and I thought he might reverse that form with Elder Elderoff here. I do like him. He's got good Royal Ascot form. He's won a Hardwick. He's been second in a Hardwick, and he's only been tried at 2 miles a couple of times, including at Meydan in the winter, where I thought he thrived for a strong gallop over 2 miles, and I think that really bodes well for having a go at this test. And son of Australia, they're really tough, hardy horses, aren't they? And I think he's got a big chance.
And he's priced up as well, where he's kind of like, everyone knows him, totally exposed. He's not, though, is he, in terms of this challenge, this sort of distance as well. And obviously he is the Aidan O'Brien second string, but that's certainly not stopped certain horses over the years. He's got an each-way chance, I'd say.
I think so. Let's talk about Emily Dickinson, because you alluded to it at the top of the show that Aidan O'Brien's never run a filly or a mare in the Ascot Gold Cup, and he does so here. She does get a bit of a sex allowance, £3 or £4 from the Colts and Geldings. How do you rate her chance?
I think she'd be very hard to ignore if you're having a bet in the race. I think you'd be worried about her, wouldn't you? She does, on the face of it, look a better filly in the mud. She has won on decent ground though in the past. She just, this sort of towards the end of last season, she absolutely took off when the mud was flying, and again this time round it was heavy when she won on her seasonal reappearance, wasn't it? And then not so good over 1 mile and 6 on good ground in the Savile Bed, but again she's kind of been beaten there in a prep without being unduly punished, as you'd expect in a Ascot Gold Cup prep race. And you'd have to give O'Brien, the benefit of the doubt. He just knows how to prepare these horses for it. So personally, I wouldn't be going in at 9-2. If there is a massive market mover on the day, perhaps she's the one that's going to go off favourite in this, because Coltrane and Elder Elderoff, they have their you can certainly make a case for them, but you wouldn't necessarily say one of them's going to go off a real red-hot favourite. No. So with Raya Moore on a roll, Aidan banging in winners, Emily Dickinson's going to go off one of the favourites.
Yeah, I think so. I just wonder if she wants testing ground.
Yeah, I mean, she has got some form on good ground.
Has.
And
maybe, I just think her best form has been on soft
It has to this point, but maybe it's just that stamina
just coincidence.
thing. Just pulls out the stamina in it, and,
Yeah.
and 2.5 miles over this distance on a stiff track could just unlock it.
Let's talk about the favourite, Coltrane. I like him. He's got a good stack of Ascot form to his name, hasn't he? He's won over 2.5 at the meeting, albeit in handicap company. He was a career best last time, I think, when winning the Sagara Stakes.
Yeah.
And he's just an improving state. He's 6 years old. He just looks primed and for a real go at this race, doesn't he?
Definitely, yeah. I think he's definitely the one with fewest holes in them when it comes to kind of
right
building
favourite,
a case. I think he's got to be favourite. Yeah, that Sagara win, it was a step forward. Okay, he's beaten Wise Eagle, who's been a fantastic performer, obviously for Adam Nicol, but he's just, as you say, a better, bigger, stronger model this time around. I think he probably is, and won the Ascot Stakes. He's proven at the Trip, proven on all kinds of ground, and on the course as well. Andrew Balding in pretty good form as well. So yeah, Coltrane, very hard to knock him.
No Stradivarius, of course, retired now, and no Kyprios, last year's winner. But we do have a previous winner of the race in there. And we must mention quickly Subjectivist, because when he won the race 2 years ago, he looked a potential world beater, a proper 120 plus stayer. The world is hooves, really. And obviously had a bad tendon injury after that, and he's come back this year with a couple of runs under his belt. On his best form, he's got a huge chance, hasn't he?
He has, yeah. And the yard.
But there's a but.
There's normally a but. The yard are making bullish noises, as you'd expect. And let's be honest, Charlie Johnson's in really good form. He's coming into good form at the right time. This horse ran twice in Meydan. He ran in Meydan, didn't he? And was it in Saudi Arabia before that? Showed a similar level of form, but it wasn't near that level of form that he'd been showing a couple of years ago. Really, he was a good rung below. You're
banking on him coming on from those runs, aren't you?
Yeah,
he has to, but it's tough after a tendon injury to bounce back to your very best, and it's just got to be on your mind as a punter. 10-1 for a previous winner who won the race so well. It's gonna tempt some in, but I must admit, with that injury, I'm just a little bit lukewarm on him still.
I'd have to be as well. Yeah, it's not quite big enough to lure me in. If he was 20-1, you'd be all over him, I think.
We have one more video to watch, and it is Courage Mon Ami at Goodwood. Now, this son of Frankel's unbeaten, and it took a while to get stoked up this day, just on the right hand side of the screen there in the red cap, the Anthony Oppenheimer colours. But he was so strong at the line. He does look like a horse who's going to thrive at a real staying trip.
Yeah, he does. And another Frankel who obviously can produce absolutely anything, obviously, but their stamina is a real forte. He's gone on quick ground. It's obviously fairly significant that the Gosdens are willing to roll the dice and run him in the Gold Cup on just his fourth ever start. Frankie Dettori rides. Again, that's going to crunch the price a little bit, though, isn't it? From our point of view, he's 6-7-1, is he? I've had my fingers burnt, Scoop, this week already with back in the Cicero's Gift in the St James's Palace. You know, it is a jump up from those kind of novice, and he's just won a handicap. He's won it easily, but now you're in deep.
He looks a lovely prospect, and I really like the horse, and he could be anything in time. But on his fourth career start,
fast track, isn't it?
Coming out of a handicap company like that, he just looks so short in the betting.
Yeah, that's.
And I get it. I completely get it.
Broom's double the price.
Yeah, who's a proven hardy stayer.
Yeah.
So selection time. I'm going with Broom. I do think he's a nice each way bet, around 12-1, given his Royal Ascot form, that run over 2 miles in Meydan. I think he's going to thrive at the Trip, so I'm with him. Who are you with?
I get the case for him. I think Coltrane will take a bit of whacking, and whatever beats Coltrane will come out on top, I think.
Okay, just finally, before we finish the day 3 video, have you any other fancies on the card?
I do. I'm going to tip Theory of Everything in the Britannia for the Gosdens. He won at Doncaster first time out, didn't he? A bit of a backward sort, unraced at 2, but won on the opening weekend, Lincoln weekend. And then since then he ran pretty well in the Greenham, again when they fast tracked him and thought, is this a 2000 Guineas horse? And then since then he went to Chester and just hated it. He hated the whole experience. He went off 7-4 favourite, but didn't enjoy the course at all. It's just about the time now to step him up to a mile. He's crying out for that. I think he's well handicapped. The handicapper, incidentally, has left him alone on a mark at 93 for that run at Chester, and I would be inclined to agree. This horse is sitting on huge potential.
Lovely theory of everything for Matt. One for Stephen Hawking fans to round off day 3 at Royal Ascot.